Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food addiction, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Carrie Dela Cruz, and before I go any farther, Happy New Year. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it is 2017. Wow, where did the time go? I am super excited to be back with you on the first episode of this brand new year, full of promise, full of opportunity, full of potential. Before I go, too far into today's subject, which is of course New Year's resolutions, because isn't that what everybody talks about in the new year? I thought I would kind of bring you up to speed and kind of let you know what's been going on. I see some people joining me. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Do me a favor. Let me know that you are hearing me, and let me know when you like what you hear or when you don't like what you hear by, there you go, shooting those thumbs up and those hearts and those happy faces and the sad faces and the mad faces, whatever. Let me know. Give me feedback so that I know I'm not just talking to my empty office and I'm actually talking to real people. Happy New Year. So I'll bring you up to speed a little bit before I launch into the topic of the day. I was in Mexico, Baja, California, with my family. I call them my family because, of course, they are, even though they're my family by marriage. And let me just tell you, as you saw, I did a show, last show of the year, on the last day of the year, 12/31, talking about the struggles of being surrounded by food and coming from a culture where the focus, the emphasis is on food, and there is an inexorable connection between love and food, between community and food, between getting together, being included, and eating food. Let me just say this about my experience in Mexico. We did a lot of eating, and then we did, basically it's meals punctuated by trips to the store to buy things to cook so we can eat more meals. So that's pretty much what it is. You eat and you cook, and then you eat and you cook, and you eat and you cook, and then you sleep, and that's about it. I mean, it can be very crazy making for someone who doesn't want to think about food, okay? So I do understand. People just want to feel loved. And here was the thing that I thought was really fascinating about my experience there. I am a studier of people. I love to see what makes people tick, but most importantly, I like to focus on what's eating people up. Because guess what? Even though they speak Spanish in Mexico, they don't speak English, right? Don't speak the same language with their mouths. They speak the same language with their hearts. Their hearts hurt over the very same things that your heart hurts, whether you speak Spanish or not. The very same thing that hurts my heart, is the same thing that hurts their heart. And in a large family, and I come from a very small family, it was just me and my brother and my mom and my dad. I had no aunts, no uncles, no cousins, because my mom and dad, only children, okay? How weird is that, right? So very small family. I had, one grandma on one side. I had a grandma and a step-grandfather on the other, and that was it. So it took some getting used to begin to fit in with a massive family. My husband's one of 9, and on and on and on. His dad is one of 12 or something like that. I mean, it's just like colossal. Everyone's a cousin or an aunt or an uncle or somebody, right? Okay, so it took some time for me to begin to realize that what I would have called a community or a society is like a family there. And it is made up of just all of these myriad personalities. And everyone has needs. They all have healthy needs. They want to be accepted. They want to fit in. They want to be valued. They want to be loved. They want to be heard, and they want to be understood. Imagine jockeying for position in a massive family with 9 kids and 1 million other people, right, who all love one another in various ways, in varying degrees, for various reasons. But there is this underlying current of undeniable love, punctuated or reinforced by the sharing of food. Now, a little story. Typically speaking, in most Mexican homes that I visit, anyway, there are very few seats at the table, like maybe 6. Okay. Way more people need to eat. And so what happens is you have this sort of, it's like musical chairs for eating. It's like you sit and you eat, and when you're done, you get up so someone else can sit and eat. And what happens as a result of that is it's a constant merry-go-round of food coming to the table. So if you've been sitting there for a couple of cycles, you're going to be tempted. If you have a problem with food, you're going to be tempted by the new food coming in, even if it looks a lot like the old food. Or maybe it's the new food and you're like, wow, that food wasn't here a couple cycles ago. But now that there are older people eating and like the kids are gone, now they're bringing on the real food. So I better have me some of that. It's really funny. It's just because there aren't enough chairs to feed all the people all at one time. So you don't typically get everybody sitting down for a meal at the same time, which can lead to very interesting dynamics because you don't always sit with the same people. And there are all of these very strong personalities, and I learned a lot of very new words while I was down there this time, among which is a word that is a variation of capricious. And it has to do with the radical and wild mood swings, the propensity to, have these wild and dramatic mood swings where one minute you're fine, the next minute your feelings are all hurt, you're wounded, and you storm off. Okay, we had a fair amount of that because, again, I bring you back to the large family, jockeying for position, where we have a lot of arm crossing and a lot of people saying, you should do this and you don't, and I am mad. You should think about me more. And everybody's like, well, what do you mean? I mean, we're thinking about so many things. I mean, the fact that we don't think of you in this moment isn't that we don't think of you in general or we don't love you. It's just that, whoops, there was just a lot going on, mostly tamales. And right. But that person who is usually on the receiving end chooses to be offended and wounded and feel excluded when they want to be included. And so we have a lot of this stuff that I'm going to be talking about this year on the program because we all, to varying degrees and in varying ways, reflect these wants and these needs and get them fed in many, many ways. Typically, if we're dealing with food addiction and we're dealing with obesity, unhealthy ways. Okay, so that is the tone of the program. That is exactly why I sit here and get to do what it is that I get to do. And I think it's really important. I think a lot of you guys have figured this out. I don't have all the answers by any stretch of the imagination. I have figured out some things that work for me today and maybe have begun working for me better. Whatever it is, it's an evolution, it's a progression, it's a process, okay? So I'm not here lecturing you or pointing my finger at you saying, I know everything, you know nothing, do as I say. No, it's not like that. It's me throwing stuff out there to see if maybe your heart hears it and says, oh, yes, that is what I've been hungering for. I have been hungering for understanding or acceptance or acknowledgement or validation, right? So that's going to be the tone of the show this year. And for today's program, because it's on everybody's lips, I want to talk about New Year's resolutions. Okay, is that all right with you guys? Shoot me some thumbs up if you guys are ready to talk about this. And Osmara, mi sobrina bonita, preciosa, está aquí conmigo. Y mija, lo siento porque no puedo hablar contigo muy bien en español, pero mi programa está en inglés. And I just said to her, I am so glad you're here. Y mija, tienes mucho valor. Tú eres muy valorosa. And I just said to her, you have value and you are very, very valuable. And that really is the undertone of so much about what I want to talk about is you have value. Wherever you are, whoever you are valuable, okay? And if you begin to believe that about yourself, that is one less thing that you will hunger to feed. And you will learn to feed it healthy things. So I am so glad that you are here, my sweet, sweet niece. We all struggle in different ways. Okay, so today, New Year's resolutions. Well, of course I looked it up. It's what I do. I play with words and stuff. And there's like always a number 1 and then a number 2 definition in the dictionary, right? So number 1 is like the typical stuff that we all think of when we think of New Year's resolutions, right? Intention, objective, goal, promise, target. Whee! Oh, don't those sound fun? Okay, that's number 1. But guess what number 2 is? Solution to, an ending to, answer to, or conclusion of something. Those are kind of different, aren't they? I mean, don't they have kind of a different tone, like solution to a problem, resolution, right? Resolving. An ending to. You know, it's like putting a punctuation, a period, or an exclamation point on the end of whatever it was. Answer, an answer to a problem, okay? Or the conclusion of something, okay? So that's kind of just an interesting thing I'm just throwing out there because I want you guys to think about the possibility of embracing the concept in a different way. All right, so here's what I want you to think about. Resolution is, of course, a derivative of the word resolute. Resolute is a very important word, I think, and it factors very prominently in my recovery. And it is an answer, actually, to a question that my sweet friend Mary asked me over the weekend. You know, how it was, because she wants me to talk about my journey. She's like, well, what the heck happened between WLS and your choice to abstain, you know, to be food sober in your recovery? Well, what the heck happened? And I'm like, oh, you know, there was white knuckling and there was a lot of grief, shame, denial, and resolve. And that was a really, really big word because I wasn't going to give up. So resolute. If you are resolute and you have resolve, you're determined, focused, purposeful. You are adamant. You are single-minded, firm, unswerving, unwavering, steadfast, unhesitating, persistent, relentless, courageous, dogged, and stubborn. So, do any of those words tend to populate your New Year's resolution when you say, I resolve to go to the gym every day, or 5 days a week, or I resolve to eat well, I resolve to lose weight? Do any of those words, being resolute, committed to, doggedly determined, single-mindedly focused, adamant, persistent, stubborn, do any of those words factor into these grandiose New Year's resolutions that you make? Because if they don't, I guarantee you, you will fail. There's that phrase, I guarantee you. I resolve to say that less frequently. And I am tenacious when I set my mind to something. I resolve not to say I guarantee it more than about 5 times every show. All right, here's what I think. I think that the majority of our New Year's resolutions are really more New Year's wishes, like wishful thinking, don't you? Right? You know, like finding a quick solution to a problem. That's in the dictionary, by the way, under wishful. Having or expressing desire or hope, okay, those are good things, for something to happen. Okay, kind of vague, but, you know, kind of positive maybe. But guess what? The next part of the definition is something impractical or unfeasible. So we're wishing for something impractical or unfeasible. We're just wishing and hoping that we didn't have to deal with obesity. That's really underneath wanting to lose weight. It's, I don't want to have to deal with my obesity, and I'm mad that I have to. Or, you know, resolving not to drink anymore, resolving not to whatever, eat this or eat that, right? We're really wishing that we didn't have to deal with the problem. And we think that by making a resolution that says, I won't do it anymore, it'll make the problem go away. But it doesn't. As a matter of fact, I think it doubles down and it makes it worse. So there's that. But guess what else? Wishful thinking, wishing and hoping during your New Year's resolutions. Guess what else wishing is? Craving, yearning, longing, and hungering for. Craving, yearning, longing, and hungering for. Any surprises there? Right? We crave what? All the things I talked about at the top of the show. Validation, value, admiration, recognition, love, affection, support. You know, someone to defend us. We crave and long for and hunger for those things. And what do we feed it? We feed our craving and our longing and our wishful thinking food, and too much of it, and not the healthy stuff, because we hope we can shut down that wishing in some way. And of course, we never do. Here's what I think. Instead of calling them New Year's resolutions, I'm thinking, how about if, in your mind, you call it New Year's determination, which really means that I have an awareness of something and I am committed to it, whatever that is. Typically, we got to focus on what is the problem. What are we trying to solve here? Are we trying to deal with our obesity, a food addiction? Is that the problem that we are trying to solve, or what? Resolve. We're trying to resolve problems with our health, being unfit, whatever that is, okay? So I say a New Year's determination. How about a New Year's revolution, which is changing? A New Year's evolution, which is evolving, which is continuing or building upon a foundation that we've already begun, you know, that we've already created. We've set the cornerstone. We've set some foundational underpinnings in our life. You know, we are doing healthier things now, but we haven't built anything on that foundation yet. So what about an evolution, a constitution, a New Year's constitution, which is a law? How many of us put teeth into the New Year's resolution that says my resolve is the same as saying it is now the law of the land? You know, everywhere, I don't know, in my state of California, the new law is, the new part of the Constitution is, you can't touch your cell phone while you're driving. You cannot put your hands on it, period. Okay, so even if it's like beeping wildly or dinging 200 times because your mom is retweeting that she likes your videos and it is just going off and it sounds like a casino, a Vegas casino, even if that happens, not that it happened yesterday on the way home from Mexico, you're not allowed to touch it. That's a new law, right? Whether we like it or not. How many of us would call that a New Year's resolution? Hey, I resolved not to touch my phone. Nope, we were ordered not to touch our phones, and it is an implacable law. Okay, got to follow it. That's it. Well, if we had a law in place that said, I'm going to focus on addressing the problem, I'm aware of it, and the problem I have is I'm unfit, I'm unhealthy, I weigh, you know, I'm dealing with obesity, I weigh more than I need to be healthy, whatever that is, okay? The law says I must address that and deal with that. Overeating is not an option. It's not in my constitution because it doesn't lead to a healthy constitution. See what I did there? All right. So I don't think you solve a problem by declaring it's a problem. Okay? Right? By saying, you know, I'm going to work out more. Well, I'm just saying I have a problem because I don't work out enough. But, you know, people love to fill in the blanks and talk about goal setting and targets and breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. And okay, I have a goal. You know, my goal is to work out more and I'm going to put it in bite-sized pieces. All that's good. That's not the stuff I talk about. All that is good, all that is important, find something that works. My point is, by simply saying that you're going to go to the gym more, you're really just saying you have a problem in that you're not healthy and you're not fit, right? Why don't we back up the truck a little bit and say, I resolve to do something productive, constructive, right, positive about my health, all right? And then once we look at it that way and say, that's my job, that's my task, right? Now I've got to put some laws in place that says this is how I'm going to govern my new life. This is how I'm going to build upon my foundation, or I'm going to lay the foundation, whatever that is, okay? Let's see here. I think you solve a problem by saying you're committed to solving it. That's the start of it. I will solve this problem is a lot different than I will work out more. Don't you think? I will eat healthy. Whatever that is, don't you think naming the problem that you're going to solve is a really great place to start? And then having resolve that says, I am going, the courage to have a constitution that says, these are the laws that are going to govern my resolution, my resolve to address this problem. Now, don't be looking at solving a problem as perfect success that says, the way that I'm going to solve my problem is lose 50 pounds. And then if I don't lose 50 pounds, then I'm a failure and I didn't solve the problem. No. Let's not make those unhealthy connections, okay? Let's work toward the goal of being healthier, okay? Let's see here. I think we could look at it and say, okay, if my goal is to be healthier, then a part of that healthier lifestyle would be to go to the gym. Or work out more at home, or whatever it is, to improve my cardio health, my physical health, my, my heart, my muscle tone, my energy, okay? We're addressing it in that way. So no, not a New Year's resolution to go to the gym. A New Year's resolution, a resolve, a commitment, a dedication to, a determination, a stubborn commitment to addressing your fitness. Okay, doesn't that look a little different? That opens up the doors to a lot more opportunity, I think. You know, taking in a yoga class, you know, walking with friends at lunch, taking the stairs, parking farther away, blah, 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 all those little things that aren't, I'm going to go to the gym more. Gym can be part of it, but if your New Year's resolution is go to the gym more, yeah, you know where that's going to end in about 2 weeks, maybe 3. All right. Why not say this year I'm committed to addressing my fitness and I'm going to do things that will lead to a healthier me? And then you could start figuring out what those things look like. And what they look like today may not look the same tomorrow. But as long as the bigger picture is always addressing my health in a positive way and working toward that, you know, toward that, I don't want to call it a goal, but towards that resolution, I guess you could say, all right? Eat right, why? Why should I eat right? Okay, we've got to back up the truck. My body needs to be healthy and it needs to function better. And if I am borderline diabetic, I don't want to be diabetic, so I need to address that. If I am struggling with cholesterol, if I, you know, heart condition, whatever it is, I'm addressing that problem. So it's not eat right. It is make the food choices that will lead to addressing, resolving, being dedicated to that bigger issue that I have, which is really the problem that I really have. It's not how I look in the mirror or what numbers on the scale, guys. Okay, it's the bigger picture. It's all of me, okay? And yeah, while we're at it, your resolution might be, hey, I need to work on what's eating me. I got to figure that stuff out so that I can begin to feed the healthier things in my life, right? I can learn to feed my healthy needs in healthy ways. So I've got to tune into Lunch Break Live every day. I think that's reasonable, don't you? All right. Let's see here. When you talk about what, eating right, the focus is actually on eating wrong. You know, lose weight, weighing too much, right? If you say I'm going to eat right, well, you're obviously focusing on the fact that you're eating wrong. If I'm going to lose weight, it's because you weigh too much. I mean, what kind of a focus is that? That wouldn't motivate me. Let me just throw that out there right now. I would be incredibly demotivated pretty quickly because if my condition didn't change in a hurry, then I'd be like, well, what I'm doing isn't working. I'm bored. This isn't fun. I'm done, right? Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. All right. So what if you resolve, which is to affirm and commit and determine, you determine something, right? Conclude that you will work towards solving the problem, whatever it takes. What about that? Would that look different in your life for today? Would that look like something to work toward instead of something that is weighing you down, weighing heavily, you know, determining your success or your failure, determining your value as a person by whether or not you went to the gym today and upheld your New Year's resolution? I think if we start looking at the goal in our life, which really is one of healthy recovery, which is one of balance, which is one of being a better version of ourselves and feeding our needs in healthy ways by determination and commitment and having a constitution, which is laws in place that say, this is how I will govern my life in recovery. Would it look different? Give me some feedback on this. Let me know what you guys think. You know, did what I said here change in any way the way in which you've been thinking about your resolutions today or your lack thereof? I love it. People go, I never make New Year's resolutions. Why? Because they typically say, because I always break them anyway. Come on, you and I both know that's what it is. You know what I heard today, though, that I thought was kind of cool? That one guy called in and said he has kept every one of the resolutions he made for the last 4 years because he resolved things like, okay, this year I'm going to learn hunting. That was what he said for this year, which was going to require a hunting license and training, you know, classes, hunting classes. And he said he wanted to learn how to dress, you know, a field dress, you know, a deer or whatever, a duck, whatever it was, right? So that was his New Year's resolution. Or maybe it's a resolution to learn to speak another language like, oh, I don't know, Spanish, right? Those are things And what would you do if that were your resolution? Well, you'd say, well, what's it going to take to get that done? I might have to take some online classes, right? I may need to go hang out with, my husband's family where they only speak Spanish, like for a week or something like that. And you have to use your hands a lot to talk. I mean, whatever that looks like, right? That's like improving yourself, don't you think? And when we improve ourselves, we feel better about ourselves because we feel more capable. We're more skilled. We're better equipped to handle life and address life when we kind of look at it that way. I think that's kind of cool. So maybe what are some skills that you could attain this year? Have you thought about that? Maybe you have. So share some of that with me. Let me know. And as I look at my clock, surprise, shock, it's late. So I'm definitely going to give you guys feedback offline. And thank you for joining me today. If you're new to the show, I hope that you will resolve to join me more days than not, to join me tomorrow, whatever. For those of you who have been joining me, I hope that you will resolve to share this with other people so we can expand the reach, so we can reach out to more people and surround ourselves by healthier people, right? That is the goal, isn't it, right? Share the wealth. So that's my resolution, is to do my very best to be here and bring you information that will help you learn to live a healthy life in recovery and to feed your heart healthy things and feel good about yourself. Feel better about yourself. How about that? I think that's a really good goal. So that's it. I'm going to let you guys go for now. Thanks, Mom. My mom, Carol Worth, your biased mom. Love the show. So I'm going to come back and I am going to see what you guys wrote offline. But thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I do promise I will share my story. I'll share what brought me to the place of choosing weight loss surgery 9 years ago. And I will also share my story of what brought me to a place of sober, food abstinent recovery 3 years ago. And, I'll talk to you about my evolution and what matters most in my life and see how maybe that differs now from what I valued or focused on 10 years ago. Okay? So I'll share that with you guys and see if maybe something fits. So that's it. Take care of yourselves. I'm going to sign off the right way and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, resolve to live your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.